Welcome back to Outside Views. Today we'll explore the intriguing question of whether the UK's latest efforts to reset its relationship with the European Union are, at least in part, driven by fears of Donald Trump's return to power. The so-called Brexit reset marks a significant shift in UK-EU relations and raises critical questions about the motivations behind it. It's a complex topic that combines post-Brexit realities, economic challenges, and global geopolitical changes. To fully understand the situation, we must start with Brexit itself. The 2016 referendum that led to the UK's decision to leave the EU was one of the most consequential events in modern British history. It was framed by the Leave campaign as a promise to take back control of borders, laws and trade. Brexit was sold as a way to restore British sovereignty and pursue a bold independent future. Yet the years since Brexit have revealed a far messier reality. The UK formally left the EU on January 31st in 2020. It then entered a transition period during which it continued to follow EU rules while negotiating the terms of its future relationship. The Trade and Cooperation Agreement, or TCA, finalized in December 2020, set the stage for this new chapter. But it also introduced significant trade barriers, ending the frictionless movement of goods, services and people between the UK and the EU. The economic impact of Brexit has been profound. Trade with the EU has declined, businesses face new red tape, and sectors reliant on EU workers have struggled with labour shortages. The Office for Budget Responsibility estimates that Brexit will cause a 4% long-term hit to UK GDP. This economic stagnation, coupled with political instability, has left the UK in a weaker position on the global stage. Fast forward to 2024, the political landscape has shifted again. The Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer, won a landslide victory in the July general election, ending 14 years of Conservative rule. Starmer campaigned on a platform of economic renewal and improving relations with the EU. He made it clear that rejoining the EU was not on the table, but he promised a Brexit reset to repair the damaged relationship. And this reset, in his eyes, is now underway. In recent months, there has been a noticeable thaw in UK-EU relations. Chancellor of the Exchequer, or Finance Minister Rachel Reeves, met with her European counterparts, marking the first such meeting since Brexit. The UK has signed a migration agreement with France, Germany, Belgium and the Netherlands, at least to combat people smuggling more effectively. And EU Council President Antonio Costa visited London, inviting Starmer to an informal EU summit in February. These diplomatic moves reflect a pragmatic recognition of shared interests. The UK and the EU remain important trading partners. The largest for the UK is the EU, and cooperation is essential to address mutual challenges like security, climate change and migration. But the question remains, why now? And the answer lies in the broader geopolitical context. The return of Donald Trump to the White House has sent shockwaves through Europe, and Trump's first presidency was marked by hostility towards NATO, skepticism of multilateral institutions, and a transactional approach to alliances. His second term promises more of the same, with increased pressure on Europe to shoulder greater defense responsibilities. For the UK, this creates both risks and opportunities. As a key NATO member, the UK plays a vital role in European security. But Trump's unpredictability and his potential to push policies that conflict with European interests, such as a controversial peace plan for Ukraine, complicate this role. In this context, closer ties with the EU offer the UK a way to strengthen its position and mitigate the uncertainties of Trump's presidency. The UK's proposed security agreement with the EU is a prime example. This deal would facilitate joint defence projects and armament procurement, aligning with EU plans to create a €500 billion defence fund. Given the UK's significant defence industry, such cooperation could benefit both sides economically and strategically. And public opinion is also shifting. A recent survey by the European Council on Foreign Relations found that a majority of respondents in the UK and the EU's 5 largest countries support closer UK-EU ties. In the UK, 50% of respondents now prioritize relations with European neighbours over the United States. And this marks a significant departure from the Brexit-era focus on global trade deals and transatlantic relations. However, the Brexit reset is not without its challenges. The EU has made it clear that any deepening of ties will come with conditions. An internal EU document outlines several red lines for negotiations, including an extension of fishing provisions, concessions on youth mobility, and adherence to EU laws in specific areas. And these demands are politically sensitive in the UK, where debates over sovereignty and foreign judges remain contentious. This situation is a little bit reminiscent of the EU's negotiations with Switzerland, which also balance sectoral agreements with strict oversight. Adopting anything similar, there will never be another Swiss-style thing, but even something similar would require significant political will in the UK, and it's unclear whether Starmer's government is ready to take that step. Domestically, Starmer faces pressure from both sides of the political spectrum. The right-wing Reform Party, led by Nigel Farage, continues to wield influence, capitalizing on public frustrations with the post-Brexit status quo. And meanwhile, within Labour, there are voices advocating for closer alignment with the EU to boost economic growth. And Starmer must navigate these competing pressures, and he must navigate them carefully to avoid alienating key constituencies. The economic stakes are high. The UK economy remains stagnant, and businesses are calling for reduced trade barriers and improved market access. Closer ties with the EU could address these issues, but they would require compromises that could provoke political backlash. So in conclusion, the Brexit reset reflects a pragmatic recognition of the UK's need for closer cooperation with the EU. And while Trump's return to power has heightened the urgency of this reset, it is ultimately driven by the economic and geopolitical realities of a post-Brexit world. And whether this reset succeeds will depend on the willingness of both the UK and the EU to navigate their differences and seize the opportunities before them. So once again, thank you for joining me on Outside Views. But what's your take on this Brexit reset? Is it a pragmatic move or a reaction to global pressures like Trump's return? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, stay informed, stay curious, and until next time, the next video is already right here in the end screen.